So next concept is, which is a pillar of the OOPS, is the inheritance. So what is inheritance? Inheritance is a concept of parent and child. So in object-oriented parent, we call it with the different name. We call it as a base class or a super class. Okay, and the child we call a child class or the subclass. So we call with the different names. So whenever you hear that it's a subclass, means we are talking about the child class only. Now next is, what is the importance of the inheritance? As we know that object is something which exists in the world, we call it that thing as an object. So let us consider that parent-child relationship. In the parent-child relationship, there is a parent which has some properties. Properties in the sense, in the technical or .NET term, we call it fields or methods. Okay, so especially we call it fields. The parent has some properties which could be public, which could be private, and which could be protected. Public and private we already discussed. Protected is the new access modifier. Protected is a modifier which indicates that which is a private for outside the world and public for the child class. So what it means, that we will see in little while that how protected access modifier is used. So let me create a parent class first. So I will call CLS parent, and this parent class uh, has some properties. It has public property. I'm saying integer, say prop1, or I'll say public prop, and it has a private property, and I'm saying int private prop. Then it has a protected. So this is the new modifier that we will see. Int protected prop. Now I am creating one more class, which is a child class of this CLS parent class. So I'm just giving name at CLS child class. Now to get it inherit from the parent class, we use CLS colon and CLS parent. So what it means? It means that CLS child class is getting inherited from the CLS parent class. So that is what it means. Now what is the use? Now the members which is in the parent class, public and protected, these are accessible to the child class. Mean to say, This is my child class and I have a method. So for example, if I say public void child method, and in this method what I'm doing, I'm just saying public prop. So this is accessible here. The reason is because it is available in the parent class. So when I use inheritance means public and protected properties. Public and protected property of the parent class is accessible to the child class. So I'm saying equals to 30. Now let me try to access the private variable. So if I say private, so that is not accessible. Even if I copy paste equals to 20. So see what it is that saying, there is an error. It is saying it is inaccessible due to its protection level. Means private members or methods cannot be accessible to the child class. So this is not possible. Private members of parent are not inherited to the child class. So this is not possible. Now let us see about the protected property. So I'm saying protected equals to 40. So here what is, it will not throw an error because protected members of parent can be accessible in the child class. Now let me come back to my main method. Here what I'm going to do, I'm just creating an object of the CLS child class. Say C1 equals to new CLS child. I'm saying C1 dot. Now you can see only public prop or public property is accessible with the C1. But the other properties protected and privates are not available, not accessible with the object. But protected property was accessible in the child class. So mean to say this protected. So C1 dot protected property is an error. The reason is what? Protected property behave like a private. So here you can see that as private members are not accessible with the object, same way protected members are not accessible here. Whereas protected members are public for the child class. Means if we have seen that private variable we cannot access, but the protected variables we can access in the child class. So that is the use of protected variables, and it is used for inheritance purpose only. So protected members are those members which are public to the child class, as we can use here, but private outside the world. So private outside the world means we cannot use with the instance. So this is the one way we have seen that child method itself does not have any property, but it is using the property of its parent class. So that is the basic concept of inheritance. So when we talk about inheritance, we talk about the constructors as well, because constructor is going to initialize the object, right, or create the object. So let us see how the constructor call. So this is my constructor of the parent, where I am saying CLS parent, which is the constructor name, and I'm just writing here I am parent constructor. And child also, what I'm going to do, I'm creating one constructor, and here I am writing I am child constructor. Now see, let us see how I have just created the object of the child class. Now what it will do, it will first call its parent constructor, then it will call its own constructor. So as soon as you call as soon as you call or you create the object of the child class, it will first initialize it because it is getting inherited from its parents. So when it is getting inherited from its parents, so internally it is first calling the constructor of the parent, and then it call its own constructor. So let us see the output. So you see, first the constructor, even I am not creating the object of the parent class, but child class itself is calling the or initializing the parent class object because it is using its properties. So it is saying I am parent constructor. In second case, it is saying I'm child constructor when I'm creating the object of the child class. Now, same way destructor, there could be a destructor. So to create the destructor, it's same name as the class name prefix with the tilde symbol. So I have the destructor parent, and here I'm saying and same way if I create the destructor of the child class, I will say CLS child, I am destructor of child. So in case of constructor, first the parent constructor is called, then child constructor is called. But in case of destructor, it is reverse. First the destructor of the child is called, then the destructor of the parent is called. So let me run it. So you have seen that I am parent constructor, I am child constructor. As soon as main method is ended, the destructor is called, and it is saying first it calls the child destructor and then it is calling the parent constructor. Now, for example, I have a constructor where I'm passing two values in, let's say, uh, private, well, not private, public val and int private val. Okay. Now you see that child constructor is complaining. It is saying CLS parent does not contain a constructor with the zero argument. So when you are having a constructor with some parameter, then we need to create a constructor with the same type of parameters. Say val1, int val2. Okay. So here also it is giving the error because we don't have that. So now if you have seen here, okay, I think, okay, because it's wrong, it should be here. Oh, no, doing wrong, sorry. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do, I have my parent class, right, and which has a constructor in public, and also I have one default constructor. So when I'm creating a parameterized constructor in a child class, say an example, I say CTOR. Now this is a child class constructor, right? And if I want to pass some parameters, say int x, int y, and I'm saying that I need not property here, just public prop equals to x and protected prop equals to y. Okay, and I will have one method here, public void display method. So when you are defining the constructor in a child class with the parameter, then you must have a constructor in the parent class which does not have the argument. So if you don't create by default, it is a default constructor. But if you are creating a parameterized constructor in the base class, then you have to create that method or create that constructor in the parent class first. Then in the child class, you can create the parameterized constructor. So here what I'm doing, console.write public property equals to 0, comma, protected property equals to 1, comma, public property, comma, protected property. Now what I will do, I will go on the top, I will create the object of the child class, okay, where I need to pass two arguments. Say I'm passing 2, 3, and if I say c1 dot display, so it will print private value equals to, public value equals to 2 and private variable value equals to, protected variable equals to 3. So there is also a base class base keyword which we can use with the constructor. So say an example, I have this CLS child and here I want to call the parent constructor. So in parent constructor, if I cut this and paste it here, right, and here what I'm doing, public property equals to public well and protected property equals to private well. Now I'm creating the object of a child class. At that time I want to call my base class. Base class is nothing but my parent class. I'm passing some values 4, 5. Okay, and this is now x and y we don't have. So now I'm going to create the object of the child class. So I'll say CLS child C1 equals to new CLS child. Now what will happen as soon as I create the object of CLS child, it will call this constructor, and constructor again it will call its base, means the base constructor, its parent constructor. So where it is passing 4, 5, and that is assigned to public and protected values. So, and when you print this display, it will print the public and private values. So let us run it and see. So it called the constructor, which is parameterized. And here it is saying public property value equals to 4 and protected property equals to 5. So there are different types of inheritance are available in .NET. One is single inheritance. Single inheritance means one parent and one child. So there is one base class and one child class. Second is multi-level. It is something like you have a class A which has a child B and B has child C. So in this case what will happen, this is called multi-level inheritance. So multi-level inheritance is the inheritance where A has a grandparent C. Oh, sorry, grandchild C. So means now C can access the public and protected property of B, and B can access public and protected property of A. So ultimately C can access the public and protected property of A and B.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that is the multi-level inheritance. And other inheritance which is not supported on the class level, not supported on class level, is multiple inheritance. In multiple inheritance, what happens that there are two parent and one child. So in this case, there is a parent A and parent B, and both are jointly have one child. So this kind of functionality on class level is not possible in the C# or .NET, but that is possible in the interface level. And interface level, I will explain it when we will discuss about the interface. So this is not supported at the class level. So these type of inheritance is supported. And if you want to create one more child of a one parent, that is possible. Means one parent can have multiple childs, but one child cannot have the multiple parents. So that concept is not available in the .NET on the class level. So if you want to create one more child of the class, then you can create the one more class child 2, which is getting inherited from the CLS parent class. And if you want to create a subchild of or subclass of child 1 or child 2, what you will do? C class, say grandchild, which is getting inherited from the child 1 or child 2. So in this case, this is the parent of this, and this already have one parent, which is CLS parent. So now grandchild is the grandchild for CLS parent, but it can access the public and protected. So if I put here a display method, say public void new display, and if I say console.writeLine, and here I'm passing or I'm printing public prop, that is accessible, no issue. Even though this public property is defined in the CLS parent, and there after that we have the child class, and under child class we are having the grandchild class, but public and protected property of the its grandparent class is also accessible.